I'm very optimistic that they will meet. I think it's extremely important that they do meet because in many respects, the negotiations have been elevated to their level.
John Quelch is here. He is the Dean of the University of Miami Business School.
Let's bring in our guest, John Quelch, who is the Dean of the Miami Business School at the University of Miami.
Very important that the presidents of the two countries, China and the US, meet at the G20. The markets are expecting them to meet. Not necessarily the case that they're expecting a resolution of the various disputes, but it would be most unfortunate if they did not meet. Now, President Trump has said that if Xi Jinping does not show up for the meeting, that U.S. will impose tariffs on a further $300 billion of Chinese exports into the U.S. This has put the Chinese president in a very tight corner, because he doesn't want to be seen to be capitulating to a demand from the U.S. On the other hand, he really doesn't want to be faced with, I think, another round of tariffs on double the number of exports that are currently being tariffed. So it's a very important turning point in this ongoing tension. I'm very optimistic that they will meet. I think it's extremely important that they do meet because in many respects the negotiations have been elevated to their level. And we've seen in previous rounds of negotiations that when the professional negotiators come up with a deal or come up with something close to a deal, it's scuttled by one or the other leader. So very important, therefore, that the world sees that the dialogue is continuing at the leadership level. Definitely a hit to global stock markets, because they will see that as a signal of a deepening divide. Going to be much more difficult for those two sides to come together for a public resolution. Unfortunately, this entire dispute is really being played out in the public arena, which means that both sides can't afford to lose face. Accordingly, it becomes that much more difficult, especially as you bring in national security issues through Huawei and other complaints around that issue. You bring in military concerns regarding Chinese expansion in the South China Sea. All of these issues then come into play in conjunction with the trade dispute. It makes it harder for the trade dispute to be dealt with, as it should be dealt with, separately.